back with another video tutorial, and this time it's Photoshop time. We're gonna create a photo manipulation that's inspired from the Doctor Strange of Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is the final edition, or we can say this is the final result that we're gonna get. So before we get started, as you can see, this is the model that I've created, and it's inspired from the simply this well, let's say this pose is inspired from Doctor Strange, and then we have our background there. So let me close this upper lace, and this is the background that we have. You might remember the room where they fight, and there's a window, and it's kind of a portal where you can just change the location and you can go to places. This is inspired from there, and this is the spell. It's also from Doctor Strange. And then we have the portal. You can remember this, they use it at many places, for example at the top of the Mount Everest and stuff. And yeah, and this is the model. So now each and every image that I've used in this photo manipulation are linked in the description. You can go download them and you can follow along if you want to, or if you want to see how I make them, you can do it your way. So let's jump in. Okay, so to create that photo manipulation, what we're going to do is we're going to go with the size of 2100 by 1400, and the orientation would be something like this, right? And RGB color, and let's click, or we can go with 16, and then after that we're going to click on create. So this is the blank document that we had. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to drag the room right here into the frame. So here we go, it fits in. So now what we're going to do is we are going to cut out these windows so we can place the pictures of the forest, the ocean, and the desert that I'm going to use in this photo manipulation here. So let's go. So what I'm going to do is to cut out these. I'm going to go with a pen tool because I find it handy, and you can go and do your way, the way you find it handy. So I'm going to go and stick with the pen tool. So you know how to select with the pen tool. It's easy as this. You gotta click and then click on the other spot if it's a straight line, or if you want to give a curve, then click and just drag on the other click, so it's gonna give it a curve. So I'm gonna fast forward this part because it's going to take a little bit of time, so you can do yours. And okay, so after selecting all the frames, what we're gonna do is we're gonna press Control Enter on the keyboard, so it's gonna change the path into selection. So now we've created selection around the windows, and we're gonna click here on the layer mask, and it's gonna create a mask around the selection. So what we're gonna do is, you can see it selected the windows, and background isn't selected. So what we're gonna do is click here on the layer mask and press Control plus I to invert the layer mask. And here you can see that we have now the windows removed, and we have the rest of the background there, or the rest of the room there. So what we're going to do is unlock this background layer and just delete it, this white layer. So after that, as you can see, there's a little bit of space here at the top and the bottom. We're going to use the Control T and make it a little bigger so it kind of fits in. So here it is. So now what we're going to do is we are going to drag that forest picture that we're going to put at the back of this this window here into this document. So here it is. This picture kind of fits in with the document. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a little bit smaller and something like this, and here in the layer panel we're going to drag it down beneath the room layer. So now after this, we're going to press Control T and just resize it a little bit, and maybe right click and go to perspective, or if you can use the shortcut key on the keyboard and just drag it to play with the perspective a little bit. And after that, we're going to press Control T, drag it a little bit up and make it a little bit bigger, and kind of make it fit in with the window. Okay, so this is good for now. I know it's instructing here, but I'll tell you how to get rid of that part. You can use the layer mask too, or you can leave it as it is. So for now we're gonna use the layer mask to disable it, because it won't cause any further problems. So we're gonna select that part and press hold alt and click on the here applied layer mask here. So it's gonna remove that part of this room, and we have this window clean here. So we're gonna select this forest image and press Ctrl G on the keyboard to make a group, to put it inside a group and name the group as forest, and maybe right click here on the eye and give it a red color, so we have it easy to arrange, right? So after that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a curve layer on it, curve adjustment layer on it, and just play with it a little bit, and close this layer, and now I'm going to drag the C part into it. So again, here we're going to scale it down. Sorry, there we go. We're going to scale it down and fit it into the scene like this, and yep, this is good. I know it's overlapping this one, but what we're gonna do is just drag it beneath the bin that we created, or the folder we just created. And after that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag this C image that I have, and maybe make it a little bit smaller, and make it okay, something like this will work. And yeah, now we need to erase these parts of the C layer. So anyway, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna disable these two and just go and play with them a little bit. So something like this looks good. So anyway, we're gonna enable this room layer and the forest layer, and now we're gonna select both these and again press Ctrl G to make a folder. And here what we're gonna do is put them in a group and name it C. And after that, we can select the group and press Ctrl T on the keyboard to enable the transform tool, and just adjust it and get it into the right size. And after this, what we're gonna do is change this color to maybe orange, and we'll go with that. Okay, after that, what we're gonna drag in is the desert image that we're gonna insert in this window. So this is the image that we're gonna use. Is we are gonna leave it here between them, and just get it into right size. And after that, what we're gonna do is use this tool to just create a rectangle around here, rectangle selection around here. And after that, we're gonna hold alt and click on the layer mask to apply a layer mask here, and it won't be blocking the C window anymore. So now after this, we again gonna group it and name the group desert. After this, we're gonna go into this C layer, and then here we're gonna apply a curve again. Do the same with the desert layer, and this time what we're gonna do is add a clipping mask so it won't affect the leaves beneath. So this is kind of looking good. So we're gonna change the color to maybe green a little bit, and we have our room ready. But as you can see, there's a little bit of problem with the selection, so I'm gonna use the brush to remove them. So we got rid of those little pixels that we had. They were creating problems for us. Anyway, after that, what we're gonna do is we are gonna apply some curve adjustment layer to this room to a little bit of contrast into it. And yeah, remember to add a clipping mask so it won't affect the layers beneath this room image that we have. Good. Now what we're gonna do is add the portals into this scene, but before that, we're gonna again group these layers with each other and name it room. You know, I'm grouping them so it'll be easier for us to arrange or maybe make some changes with this photo manipulation later on, because if there are too many layers then it will be harder for us to handle. So after this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the portal into the scene. So first of all, this is the portal that we're gonna stick with. You'll have that the link in the description. You can download it from there. So as you can see, it's black all around, so we're gonna go into this blending mode option and change it to screen. So here we go, we got rid of the black parts that we had in layer. So we're gonna change the size a little bit and put it, drag it into the scene a little bit, down at the flow. So as you can see, it's kind of in the ring that we had, or the circle that we had, um, that is kind of fitting in. We don't need to create the flow shadows anymore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of shadows into these parts of this scene, this room. So we're gonna add a little bit of highlight because it's a bright color and it's shining, so it gotta have some effect on these walls and on the roof and stuff. So we're gonna add them. Before that, as you can see, there's a line here because this is the line of this circle that we had. So you can do is you can use the brush tool to get rid of them by creating here a layer mask, and after that, with the brush tool, we're gonna erase a little bit of these parts so it won't be appearing in the picture. Okay, so after we have done this, what we're gonna do is create a layer. So in this layer, what we're gonna do is we're gonna brush some lighting on the roof and right here on the wall. So to do that, what we're going to do is go into the blend option and go and change it to overlay and leave the opacity at 100%, because if you are using tablet, I'm going to mention this, otherwise the guys with tablets are gonna say that it won't work for us. If you're using tablet, you can brush it your way because that thing has pressure sensitivity built into it. I'm using a mouse, so I'll have to do some adjustment with my uh, Photoshop settings, so I can brush some lighting on the roof and on the wall. So as you can see, yeah, I forgot to mention the opacity is on 50% and the flow is on 35%. Okay, so guys, here it is. It's kind of looking weird, but you can always play with opacity and maybe uh, play with it and just take something low and see if it works. So I'm gonna go with 50 now, and yeah, it's kind of looking like there is some highlight here. So as you can see, so this was an overall highlight, but we're gonna add some bright highlights on these edges because light kind of reflects more on these edges, so we're gonna go with that. And yeah, if you are worried about these parts, don't worry, because we're gonna add some field blur into it, and it won't be that much visible in the final photo. So you can skip these parts. I'm gonna skip this because it's gonna take more longer time, but you can also skip these parts, and if you want to draw, you can draw them. So again, we're gonna add yeah, make sure to leave them right there, and yeah, create another layer. Or if what you can do is inside the room, for a group that we have created, drag them inside there and just make clip mark them to the room, so they So yeah, this is kind of looking weird too. I know. Again, you can play with the opacity a little bit, maybe drop it down to 50, and yeah, it's kind of looking cooler here. We can see. So it's good. Yeah, we're gonna stick with this, or maybe add some brushes here at parts that where you're thinking that it's kind of low. So I think that we need to add some more brushes right these parts, and yeah, it's kind of looking good. So here we can see. So without those effects and with this with those effects inside the room. So here we can see. So it's kind of looking good, but what you can do is you can create another copy of this layer that we had by pressing Ctrl J on the keyboard if you want to give it a little bit of boost. So here you can see if you think that it's too low, and you can also play with the opacity and maybe change it to 25%. So yeah, it is good. If you want to make it a little bit brighter, so I wanted to make it a little bit brighter, so I create a copy of this by pressing Ctrl J on the keyboard. Or maybe you just drop it down to 15%, and yeah, we can see it's kind of giving it a bump, but not that much, so we're gonna stick with that for now. After that, what we're gonna do is add an image inside this portal. So what we're gonna do is drag that image into the scene. There's the street, so we kind of given it this kind of story that the witch or the doctor, whoever the model is, that's appearing from that street. So here it is. So now I have another portal right here. I'm gonna drag it here. So I'm gonna put it on top of that street that we had and just clip mask it to that part, and maybe just drag it a little bit down, and yet kind of make it fit inside the other portal that we had, or other circle that we had, and again change its blending to blend option to screen, and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Something like this would work. Now I know it's kind of round, there's a square of that image of the street that we had, so I'm just going to use this here in the Ellipse mark selection tool and just drag a circle right here, somewhere right here, something like this. And yeah, and again you know, select the city layer and just add a clipping mask into it by clicking on it, and here it is. So you can see that we've created a clipping mask on it, and yeah, also make some adjustments to these this city image. So as you can see, we are kind of seeing the edges right here, so we're gonna make some adjustments, something kind of like this, and maybe just unclip mask it and just add some other adjustments here, and yeah. Okay, so for now it's kind of looking good, and if you think the edges are just like too sharp, you can always select the brush tool and maybe just draw over it, and remember to boost up the settings back to normal, and just make the brush a little bit bigger by using the keyboard shortcuts. Or you can do it something like this and just brush them to erase them a little bit, something like this. Try to make it appear like it's happening, everything's happening behind this portal. So yeah, something like this is kind of looking cool. I know it's kind of looking bad up here, so we're gonna drag it up, and yeah, here it's good, it's looking good. So now again we're gonna select all these three layers and just make a group by pressing Ctrl G and name it portal, and maybe give it a color, something like wallet. Okay, so after this, now it's the time to bring in the model into the scene. So I have the model already cut out because I thought that it's going to take too much time. So here it is. So that's why I already made the selection of the model, and I'll just drag it into the scene. And yep, and maybe make it a little bit smaller, scale it down, and yeah, something like this. So something like this would look great, right? So maybe again a little bit smaller, something like this, and yeah, it's good, right? So now after this, what we're going to do is we are going to add the spells that we had in the scene, right here in front of her hands, so it kind of looks like she's performing some mystical art, they say, or what they say, I don't know, it's called something like that. We're gonna make those pop right here in front of her. Or for the spells, I've already again made the selection, but it's kind of pain, so I said, you know, it's gonna take time anyway, so I just made the selection, and here, oops, I dragged it into the wrong documents, so I'm just drag it into the scene and just boost it up a little bit, something like this, and just bring it right here at her palms, and then just scale it down, something like this. Yep, that will look right. Yeah, something like this, and then change the blend option to maybe screen, so those black parts will vanish from the spot. And then again for the other spell that I have here, so they are both the same spells. You can say a little bit of difference, like small difference that you can't know, but I said okay, I'm gonna go with different ones. I know these spells on bongo or on the edge is change the perspective. Okay, so the other part that we had is in place of the other hand. So I think I would just make this one a little bit smaller, something like this. Yeah. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna group the model into a separate folder and name it model. Okay, and for the spells I'm gonna do that again. Spells. Yeah, something like this, and again apply some colors onto it, and yep, something like this will look cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mess with the model for now. I'm gonna play with these spells a little bit. If I go back to the other image, I've changed the color to green. So I'm gonna do that, and just after that paint some. After that, we're gonna go on the model and paint some lights or maybe highlights onto the model. So for that, what we're gonna do is select the spell group or spell folder that we create, and click here and apply a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and just clip mask it to the folder. And after that, here you can change, as you can see, you can change the color of the spell that we had. So we're gonna go green and add a little bit of highlight into it, and light or saturation, and a little bit of more saturation into it. And yeah, this is kind of looking cool. So after that, we're gonna go back to the model here, create a folder and clip mask it to the create a new layer, sorry, and clip mask it to the model, and you can name it like highlights, or if you want to. And now we're going to select the brush tool and go with a kind of bright green color, and just for now just close the spells, it won't bother us. And here on the hands, what we're going to do is again go in the blend option, overlay, and for the opacity maybe like 30%, and for the flow maybe like 45%, something like this would look good. Yeah, and then we're gonna draw some highlights here on the model's hand, face, and clothes maybe. We can see that we have kind of created what we were looking for. But here what we're going to do is in the spell layer, click here and create a layer here, but drag it beneath both the spells, and we're going to change the blend mode to overlay, and with the same bright green color selected, with a little bit of large brush, kind of something like this. No, it's too big, sorry. Something like this. We're going to click. Or we can go with normal again. Click. Something kind of like this would work. Oh, oops, sorry, I've got to boost these up a little bit. Something like this, and again, something like kind of like this. To give it a glow. I know it's not glowing, but here, if you change the screen, you can see it's glowing. But again, play with the opacity a little bit. Maybe go with 75%. And now you can see we have gave it a glow on the spells. So here, as you can see, we have a little bit of glows on the spells. You can go a little bit bigger for this one. You can erase this part that we have just drew here and just create another one right here by using brush tool. Something like this would look cool. Anyway, so yeah, it's looking good. Now we're gonna draw some highlights on the model, and these highlights are gonna be of the grab this layer right here, create a layer, put mask to the model, and these highlights are gonna be of the yellowish ring that we created in the background. So that it's gonna be on her dress. So again, remember to change the color to yellow, the blend option to overlay, and for the opacity we'll go 25% again, and 35 for the flow. And this. So after that, we're gonna add some adjustment layers to the model so it kind of fits in, to blends in into the background. So it's kind of, she's kind of of another tone, and the background's of another tone. So we're gonna add some levels to it. We're gonna add adjustment layer here at the top to the whole scene here. So first we're gonna go with the curves. Okay, so here is, it's kind of ready, but we have still to play with it a little bit. So before that, I want to add some smokes into the scene. So to do that, what I'm going to do is select the room, and maybe on the portal part here, what I'm going to do is create a new layer here, and my add my brush tool selected. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift and click while holding shift. Select the last one and hold the shift and click on the top one and press Ctrl J. Just going to create a copy, and after this Ctrl E to convert them into single layers. So here they are in a single layer. So after that, I'm going to go to filter, and then after that camera raw filter. And now here I'm going to make some adjustments to this image. So this part is going to be fast forwarded. You can change it to your desirables. Yeah, this is the Doctor Strange Photomanipulation that we wanted to create. Yeah, it's kind of different from the original one because I had a lot of time to create this one while I was racing with the clock while making this one. So yeah, you can make some edges and tweaks and prepare your one for you. So here it is in front of you. I hope you've learned something new, find something exciting, and yeah, if you think that I messed up at some places, you can always comment them down and ask some questions if you like. Yeah, and my recording is kind of, I'm talking kind of a little bit. My tongue was slipping here and there because it's the second take. I made a video and I forgot to turn on the recorder. It was kind of messed up, but yeah, still here it is in front of you. I hope that you like this tutorial, and please make sure that you drop a like, drop a comment, and yeah, subscribe for more content like this, and see you in the next video. Peace till then.